Hello and welcome to the Bulldog Blitz Football Radio Show, episode number 6. I'm the voice of the Bulldogs, Rob Bentley, alongside Sandy Golston, as we get ready to talk about the homecoming game this Saturday. Ferris State playing host to Roosevelt University and the start of GLIAC football action. Sandy, always a great time. Homecoming weekend here on the Ferris State campus.
Yeah, there's just not too many better times of the year to be on campus than homecoming. And, it's, for me as someone who came here a long time ago, maybe 3 decades ago, possibly. It's just a great time. I mean, I get to see so many people that I knew from back in the day when I was here, and people that came before me that I got a chance to know subsequently. And it's just great to see so many alumni coming back. It's going to be great to see all the tents out in the parking lot, all the reunions. We got a lot of 50th anniversaries. It's just going to be a lot of fun. It's just always great to see so many of the former Bulldogs, the old Bulldogs, coming back to cheer on the current Bulldogs.
Of course, a huge weekend, not just Ferris State football at home on Saturday at 2 o'clock. We got Bulldog volleyball ranked 5th in the nation this week, off to an unbeaten start. They're at home both Friday and Saturday at 6 o'clock. Bulldog hockey start the 50th season here of Ferris State hockey on the Big Rapids campus. They'll play host to Miami of Ohio. Everything College Hockey game day show going to be here on Friday, and puck drop both nights at 8:07 p.m. along with all the other things that take place here during homecoming weekend.
Man, campus is going to be jumping. I mean, it really gets going on Friday. There's so many traditional homecoming activities that are going to be taking place on Friday as well. And then when you think of how the sports complex is going to be lit up with a game day atmosphere, volleyball is getting going. You mentioned volleyball at home for the first time officially this season, ranked 5th in the nation. I mean, this is a great time. I'm excited to see volleyball, but I'm also excited to see hockey. Hockey, I mean, I know it doesn't, but it feels like hockey starts sooner and sooner every year. And so I'm excited to see the Bulldog hockey team out there. They got some fresh faces on the ice, and then some really familiar faces on the bench that we've seen and we've come to know and love and support. And so it's just going to be an exciting weekend of Bulldog athletics, as well as alumni coming back and the community getting involved with homecoming activities.
Of course, they're going to come back and they're going to see a red-hot Ferris State football team. The Bulldogs have outscored the opponents 183-13 in their last 3 games. And, of course, this past weekend we had a chance to fly with the team out to Springfield, Massachusetts, and what a performance, 84-7 over American International.
Yeah, and it just started right off the bat. I mean, Bulldogs just really locked in pretty much right away and just kind of jumped on and grabbed that early lead and just never let up. And the thing you like is that even though you have some roster limitations playing on the road, especially traveling like that by plane, but the Bulldogs were able to play pretty much everybody that went on the trip, that was eligible to play, and everybody that they went to was productive. And so it was really great to see, and Bulldogs with a dominating performance offensively, defensively, and special teams.
Of course, I talked with head coach Tony Anise on the Ferris Sports Update TV show this week, and he mentioned it, 75 guys, almost all of them, I believe, played in the first half of that game as the Bulldogs built a 56-0 halftime lead. I don't think anyone, at least in terms of the starting unit on the defensive side, had more than 10 reps in the game, at least at the defensive line level. So certainly they got a lot of guys, a lot of quality playing time against a Division II opponent.
And I think that's all the more important that the Bulldogs took care of business very early, right off the bat. That allowed them the luxury of limiting some of those reps for some of those starters, keeping them safe, keeping them fresh, and then getting a lot of playing time, developmental playing time, as you mentioned, against a Division II opponent. And I know the score, it was lopsided, but the one thing I will give American International credit for, Rob, is they played hard. I mean, they played hard from start to finish. They didn't quit. They ended up getting a touchdown on the board. And so give credit to them because they did play hard, and it was good for our guys that came in to be able to get some good reps.
We've got a couple special guests with you on today's show, as we'll hear from a Ferris State legend, coaching legend in Jack Schugars, longtime coach who's in his 55th season, I believe, is what he'll tell us here in terms of coaching football at the high school or the college level. And Mike Edwards from Florida, who's been a great addition to that defensive secondary here in recent years, and especially this year. He's got a lot of quality playing time.
Well, not only am I not in my 55th season, I'm not even in my 55th year alive. So I'm excited to hear from Coach Schugars. By the way, happy belated birthday to you as well. As my broadcast partner, I'm excited to hear from Coach Schugars. I think it's going to be fun to hear his perspectives. It's exciting, and we're going to have Mike Edwards on as well, and he's been a big part of that Bulldog defense. So I'm excited to hear from Mike too.
Coach Schugars, 55 years. I just turned 50. I feel old, but he looks a lot younger than maybe his real age is. Already been coaching 5 years longer than I've been alive.
Hey, I tell you what, I hope I'm moving. But I hope I'm moving around that well when I'm Coach Schugars' age. But he is an inspiration to all of us, and just an outstanding individual, an outstanding human being.
Of course, we'll have all the action for you on Saturday, starting with the Bulldog Tailgate Show at noon from the parking lots where all the tents are going to be located for the homecoming reunions on Saturday at Top Taggart Field. We'll have the Johnson Automotive pregame show at 1 o'clock, then 2 o'clock kick against Roosevelt, newcomer to the conference, and we'll talk more about them here on this show as well. But nice to see a new face, at least in terms of a conference opponent this weekend for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, it's a new opponent that we're not very familiar with, and I'm sure the coaches are working hard to get familiar with them. But the one thing that you do like is it's great to grow the GLIAC, and to have another football playing member in particular come into the conference is great for us. A, and then B, it gives us a GLIAC school that's in the Chicago area, and I think that's great. That's a great market for us to be in, great opportunities there. So it's really exciting to welcome Roosevelt and to have an opponent here for homecoming like Roosevelt. I think it's an exciting time. I'm sure it's going to be exciting for them to really get started in the GLIAC, and it's going to be exciting for us to have a homecoming game. Kind
of a tale of two programs. Ferris State obviously has been a longtime member of the GLIAC. This will be the 400th GLIAC game played by the Bulldogs coming up on Saturday, and the first one ever for Roosevelt.
Yeah, it's crazy. You talk about contrast, the opposite ends of the spectrum for sure. But that's a part of it. And again, it shows that the GLIAC is growing and looking to expand and to grow, and that's a good thing. And so bringing Roosevelt in is just a positive all the way around. And for Ferris State, one of the long-standing members of the GLIAC, there's a lot of pride in being a member of this institution, along with so many other great institutions that make up the GLIAC.
We'll be back with more of the Bulldog Blitz football radio show after this timeout right here on the Bulldog Sports Network in Sunny 97.3. And welcome back, everyone, to the Bulldog Blitz football radio show presented by Two Hats Ranch. Rob Bentley and Sandy Golston with you. And we're joined now by Ferris State football assistant coach and a coaching legend, Coach Jack Schugars. And, Coach, first of all, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for inviting me here. It's my first time, so I'm excited about being here.
I know you've been around this Ferris State program since Coach Anise took over back in 2011. Going into the 2012 season, what's it been like just being here at Ferris State and being part of what he's been able to build here with the Bulldogs?
Well, it's just been a fantastic adventure for me. I'm 78 years old. It's been a great run here, and retired from high school football in 2010, and immediately Coach Anise called me to join his staff at GRCC, and then the next shortly after that to come to Ferris State University, and it was just a great idea for me because, I don't have that many hobbies. So I guess football is my hobby in my life because I'm not a very good golfer and I'm not a good fisherman. So I love football and I love the game and I love working with young people. And Coach Anise and I have been friends for a long time.
I know you mentioned been friends for a long time and you guys have a great relationship. What's it like working with him and obviously getting to know him so well for so long?
Well, as high school coaches, we got together because we were in the same town, in Muskegon and Muskegon Oak Ridge, and we would have 7-on-7s and weightlifting and different types of football things together. So it was kind of fun, and I knew him, and he was a quality coach back then, and I just kind of picked his brain as a high school coach. And then the college, he wanted me to come along and be a part of his program, and it was just a great feather for me to have in my cap because to be associated with a coach like Coach Anise and be involved in and be able to coach at a D2 level is fantastic.
I know you're able to build great relationships with all your specialists, kickers, long snappers, punters, whatever it may be. Just what are those relationships meant to you in terms of being able to work with those student athletes each and every day?
Well, I think that's the number one thing in coaching, and that's number one of our pillars for our program is love. And I love my players, and I love the high school players I've had, and now even closer to the college players I've had for all these years, and build great relationships with them, and see them in the off season and see them at my camps. They work my summer camps and develop great friendships, and you get to be invited to the weddings. And one of my players just recently called me up to tell me that he was going to adopt a child. So that's a great thing for me to have him call me to tell me that what he was going to do in his life with his wife and it's just a fantastic journey to be friendships with your players, and it's a great coach-player relationship, and those things last forever.
Of course, one of your specialists, before I give it to Sandy, just had a tremendous performance this past weekend. Mitch Middleton setting a school record 12 for 12 on point-after attempts at American International, and nice to see him break his own record.
Yeah, he's a fantastic young man. I recruited him out of Middleville High School, and to see him break the record from Mitch Middleton. Mitch Middleton broke the record of Mitch Bredberg. So that was a great record to break, and just a great performance for him this last Saturday.
Yeah, let's go back to 2012 when Coach Anise came in here, and obviously you and many of the coaches that you came in with, including Coach Anise, you guys had success in high school, you guys had success at GRCC, and then you come to a Ferris State program that had been a little bit down. Take me back to what you remember about first coming into Ferris and kind of having a clean palette for something you guys could build here.
Well, for one thing, as a high school coach, my expectations were pretty high, and the bar was very high. And having won a few state championships myself, I knew what it would take to build a program, and even at the college level, to inject some of those ideas and some of those characteristics of successful programs. And I knew Coach Anise had them already, and some of the things he asked me, and some of the things we developed together, and along with his leadership, it was something that we knew we could do. I mean, we didn't have any doubt that high school coaches could come into a college and build a program to become winners because the expectations and the bar and the standards and the quality of play is such a high level. We wanted to increase that at this university, and which we've already done at this point, and continuing to keep growing.
What is it about Coach Anise? Because we always talk about it. Yeah, Coach Anise knows somebody that's from this area of Michigan, that area of Michigan, out of state and college level high school. What is it about him that makes people just gravitate toward him?
Well, he's got a charisma, and it's a very sincere charisma that he has, and he tells it like it is, and he also, the players know that he loves them and cares about them, and he's all about players, and he's all about developing relationships with players, and it's fantastic. This last December, it was great to go to a wedding for Jake Lampman, and there's Coach Anise there, and myself there, and Coach Rowan was there. So you develop those relationships and the charisma and the people and all the Ferris players that were there, and they still have a great, great love for him. And because of that love relationship, that's what it's all about, because you love people, and it's all part of your life. It's how you treat people, how you love people, and develop those relationships.
And Rob was talking about Mitch Middleton, and you got to really be happy, I think, with his growth. And he's always had a big leg, but now he's become like just a lights out kicker, with accuracy and range, and you really got to be happy with his development.
Well, I really am, but I knew when we came in there that he was going to be a good one down the road, and hopefully all the players we bring in are going to be good down the road. But he's exceptional. Plus, he's a fine young man as a character, as a quality character young man, and plus high academic engineering student. So with a 4-point grade point, and he's a very intelligent player, very intelligent student, and he's got a great sense of humor too. And he's just a great guy to have around. And I enjoy some things we do in the off season, my camps, and in fact, a little fishing trip this last spring. So it was kind of fun to have him around, and I just see him grow and grow and grow, and help our program to develop to where we're at our level of competition.
You mentioned the sense of humor. That's a unique group, the kicking team that you guys have. I mean, that's a group, a lot of personalities on that group. What's that group like to come with on a daily basis?
Well, it's fun because we have guys that just always playing with you, messing with you, and just they always, a lot of times I'll come up to the practice and say, "What'd you get here?" And they just, that I just, one of those things they say to me all the time. And we just have a great personality. We kid around each other, and we laugh and have a good time, and we enjoy each other, the camaraderie. And that's a great camaraderie that I have and the kids have between each other. So it's a special little group, and we call ourselves the PKL, punters, kickers, long snappers, so that's what we call ourselves. So it's a great group. It's a special group, and I love them.
Yeah. And one more before I kick it back over to Rob. Rob and I have talked about this so much since the Coach Anise's staff came in here. Special teams is really special for you guys. And sometimes special teams can get lost in offense and defense, but it seems like right from the beginning that Coach Anise and you guys have really taken special teams very, very seriously. And that was one of the biggest, I think, growth points, I think, for this program, when Coach Anise and the staff came in.
Yeah, I think that's a good observation for sure. We've really tried to increase our special teams, the quality of players, and the demand for the excellence that we want to have a successful program, especially at the levels that we play in the higher and higher competition in the playoffs and in the championship games. And we've had some great kickers and great kicks in the championship games. And so that is expected. It's something that's expected and something that we want. And we've really changed the tone. We've really changed the expectation. And the bar definitely is high. And for me, I always want more time and practice for special teams, but that doesn't happen. But I love it. And we work hard. And we have a chance. We try to hone our skill every day. So it's just a great thing, and great kids that we recruit, and great players here. And with Coach Anise, pretty well letting me decide what these kickers are, who are the ones you want to recruit, and I'm really pleased with my role and that he's given me.
Awesome.
Coach, I got to put you on the spot here. Tell us what year in coaching it is for you this season with the Bulldogs.
Well, I started coaching back in 1969. So with the Ferris, it's 12 years plus the COVID year. So I mean, this is my 55th year that would be, I think, then.
Wow.
55th year. So
I know. Hey, I was just going to say, I know just going out there every day, it's got to keep you young, just working with these young college kids.
Well, yeah, at 78 years old, there's not too many 78-year-old coaches, I don't think. but I love it. It keeps me young, and I enjoy it, and it's just fun to be around. What a great staff! What a great program to be in with Rob and Sandy. It's the greatest on-air broadcast team in the world.
Well, thank you.
I have a colleague, a friend of mine, who is in media, and he always talks about how fantastic you guys do a great job, and it's just I'm glad to be associated with you two.
Appreciate that.
Well, we appreciate that. Coach, I know you mentioned earlier you don't golf, you don't do a whole lot, but I know you're active in terms of following your grandchildren. Your son was a coach, and you had a chance to coach with him. Just talk about your family and obviously how important football's been in that family life.
Well, yes. I was married to my wife, Julie, for 49 years, and she passed away 4 years ago. And we had two children, a son, Eric, who's the head coach at Traverse City Central, and he has 3 children, a boy and 2 girls, and my daughter, Amanda Lynn, who's a teacher in Battle Creek, and she has 3 girls, and they're all involved in athletics. So I get a chance to go to Traverse City and Battle Creek and put a lot of miles on my car, and it's a great time. It's a great fun, and it's just been a great thing for me here too. Plus, this last year, a couple of years, I reacquainted with a past young lady I dated in college in 1967. So things are very happy for me and very successful and with my family. And my family just loves the game of football, and they come to many, many Ferris games. And as my son's head coach at Traverse City, it's just I try to get to as many games as I can too to see him coach. So it's just a great pleasure to have my kids and follow them and my grandchildren.
And finally, before we let you go here, I know before we went on the air, we talked about the schedule coming up and obviously some big games. How excited are you just to watch this team continue to grow here over the next couple months of the season?
Yeah, I'm excited that we're coming down to the stretch here. We're going to really get some tough games. Our competition is going to be really increased as we go along, and then naturally we're all looking for the playoffs. And as you know, the playoffs competition is just not to be laughed at all because it's really tough competition at our level.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time, and thanks for being with us here today, and best of luck here to you and all the guys you coach here the rest of the season.
Well, it's great to be here, and I'm just thanks for having me on the show, and I just love being a Ferris State Bulldog.
Well, thanks. We love having you as well. We'll be back with more of the Bulldog Blitz football radio show after this break on the Bulldog Sports Network. And welcome Welcome back, everyone, to the Bulldog Blitz football radio show presented by Two Hats Ranch. Rob Bentley and Sandy Golston with you here today as we move into the GLIAC and the national picture here in Division II football as we start the month of October. And some big games, of course, that have went on here in recent weeks. And we'll certainly get into some great games that were played this past weekend again across the country.
Yeah, just a number of great games. As we get a little bit deeper into the season, we're starting to get into territory where we're seeing some really important conference games that are taking place, games that are not only important in the conference in terms of the conference championship potentially, but also with regional implications, early regional implications. So there are some big games already being played across the country.
Let's go back to this past weekend across the nation. Here, games of interest. Ohio Dominican defeated Kentucky Wesleyan. That's a game involving two great Midwest Athletic Conference schools, 38-7 the final score. Huge game down in Kansas where Northwest Missouri State beat number 15 Emporia. I believe that was actually played at Northwest Missouri State, so just outside of Kansas City, but nonetheless, the Bearcats, after a tough start, have really rebounded in a big way. They get a 14-9 win over a team in Emporia State that was unbeaten going into that one.
Well, I tell you what, a couple games into the season, people were ready to write off Northwest Missouri State, but they had other plans, and that's a huge win over them against Emporia, which had a big win over Pittsburgh State.
Of course, the Bulldogs a few weeks ago really kind of handled Ashland University. They come back, though. They get a big win over Tiffin, 21-12. Tiffin, a team that reached the Division II playoffs a year ago, is one of the top seeds in Super Region 1.
Yeah, we told people don't be misled by the margin that the Bulldogs defeated Ashland. This is a good Ashland team, and I think they proved it against Tiffin. Still, some hurdles in that conference, but Ashland's got a good chance of not only winning that conference, but, maybe a chance of still working their way into the playoffs because they're going to have a tremendous strength of schedule.
Going back around the country in terms of the national rankings on the D2Football.com scoreboard, Charleston, number 22, defeated Concord 42-7. It was fourth-ranked Minnesota State over Concordia St. Paul, final score 33-20. Lenore-Rhine and Tusculum, they were rescheduled due to the tropical storm, but Lenore-Rhine ended up winning it. The 12th-ranked team in the nation wins it 37-23. And then a huge upset, Minnesota State Moorhead knocks off number 19 Augustana by a score of 43-41.
Yeah, that was a surprise. Augustana was a team that was creeping up into the national rankings, reached up to number 19, and I think people had maybe thought that they could climb up even higher, but give Minnesota State Moorhead credit. They pulled off a close one there, and just a shootout, 43-41.
Another team that's played some close games, Central Missouri, number 11 in the nation. They win by 1 point for the second week in a row as they defeat my own Nebraska Kearney Lopers 36-35.
Yeah, it was a battle against Rob's Lopers, and it looked like Kearney was going to maybe have a chance to pull that one off, but give Central Missouri credit. They can put some points on the board. Tremendous offense in terms of passing the football, prolific quarterback, and they were able to find a way to come back.
Hillsville is still looking for its first victory of the year, but they gave Findlay all they could handle. Final score 28-21. The Oilers win that one. Number 13, Western Colorado defeated New Mexico Highlands 53-12. It was Truman State over Wayne State. We'll get to that one later in the GLIAC 31-17. Colorado State Pueblo defeated Adams State 66-10. Pueblo ranked 24th in the nation. Number 21, Bemidji State over Mary by a score of 41-7. And Colorado Mines bounces back, the number 7 team in the nation with a 52-24 win over Black Hills.
Yeah, big win for Colorado Mines. Really left no doubt about that one. And so they're a team right now sitting 7th in the nation right now. And so trying to position themselves and, again, they 2 consecutive national championship appearances and maybe trying to see if they can sneak back again.
Other ranked teams in action. Number 25, Carson Newman defeated Catawba by a score of 35-34. Number 8, Kutztown over East Stroudsburg. Big game in the PSAC, 27-21, the final score in that ball game. 10th ranked Slippery Rock defeated Edinburgh, also in the PSAC, 28-23. It was number 16, Ouachita Baptist over Arkansas Monticello, 49-14. And then a game that was canceled due to the storm. Unfortunately, might have been a great ball game between number 18, West Alabama, and number 3, Valdosta State. No word yet if that will be rescheduled or not.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I know that we talked about Lenore-Rhine a little bit earlier. They were able to move that game to Sunday and play, but maybe that's something that would not work for West Alabama and Valdosta. That was a game that a lot of people were looking forward to. And unfortunately, with the nature of football, Rob, it's so tough to reschedule games. Also
going around the country, number 23, Central Oklahoma continues to roll along. They're still unbeaten here in Super Region 3 as they defeated Fort Hays State 49-24. Central Washington over Western New Mexico. Central Wash, number 9 in the nation, 36-0 the final score in that ball game. And another shutout in a big game in the Great American Conference. The defending national champions Harding, ranked number 1 in the nation, defeat number 17 Henderson State. We expected this to be a good ball game, but it was not. 66-0 the final score.
I watched a little bit of that game, and Harding might be better than they were last year. I think offensively, for sure, they might be better than they were last year. And I thought that game would be a little bit closer. I did expect Harding to win pretty solidly, but wasn't quite envisioning 66-0.
Some big games going on this week. Valdosta State will return to action as they take on Shorter. We got Ohio Dominican visiting Ashland. Lenore Ryan will be at Emory and Henry. Hillsdale and Northwood, big game in the GMAC coming up this week in Midland. Winston-Salem at Virginia Union. It'll be Minnesota Duluth at Augustana. Slippery Rock and IUP, big game out in huge Pennsylvania game. Again.
That's a huge game right there. Two teams that traditionally been right up there near the top of the PSAC conference. And so I'm going to be excited to see. Slippery Rock used to be a really prolific passing offense, and they're a little bit more balanced now. IUP, very good, very balanced team. That's going to be a great matchup.
Indianapolis will travel to William Jewell. It's MSU Moorhead at Winona State. Also, Colorado Mines will be at Colorado Mesa. We've got Minnesota State playing host to Sioux Falls. Central Oklahoma will try to stay unbeaten as they go to Missouri Southern. Pittsburgh State hosting Missouri Western in the Jungle. It'll be Harding at Southwest Oklahoma. New Mexico Highlands will visit Colorado State Pueblo. Thomas More at Tiffin, big game down in the GMAC as well. Northwest Missouri trying to keep it rolling as they visit Washburn, and West Florida, after a tough loss that we'll talk about shortly, trying to get back on track against Mississippi College.
Yeah, they're looking for a big bounce-back effort. Tough performance this past weekend in a battle of nationally ranked teams, so they're definitely looking to bounce back.
Central Missouri as well with a big game at Fort Hays State out in Kansas. That's a look at the national scene in terms of games this past week and games coming up as we move into the GLIAC picture here on this segment. And let's go back to last week. The opponent coming up for the Bulldogs will be Roosevelt. They fell to Campbellsville in Kentucky, an NAIA school, by a score of 24-8, the final score in that ball game. So Roosevelt going to have to try to get back on track in doing so against one of the favorites here in the GLIAC.
Tall task for Roosevelt. Difficult time trying to get points on the scoreboard against Campbellsville. Mustering 8 points there, losing 24-8. So tough one for them last week. And boy, it just doesn't get a lot easier here for them as they come to Ferris State here, come to Big Rapids, Michigan for homecoming for the Bulldogs.
Of course, we've talked about the Bulldog win 84-7 over American International. You did hear that one correctly, 84-7. It was Truman State over Wayne State, 31-17. The Warriors still looking to try to put something together here under head coach Tyrone Wheatley.
Yeah, that was a game of two teams desperate to get a win, and give Truman State credit. They've been able to bounce back. They've had a tough early schedule, and they were able to find a way against a Wayne State team that's just frankly been struggling.
Davenport, of course, had a very tight ball game a couple weeks ago against Central Missouri, and not sure if they had a little bit of a letdown after that performance, but they defeated William Jewell, but a little bit closer than maybe some would expect, 17-7, although they kind of controlled that game, led 17-0 at one point.
Yeah, I don't know that it was a game where they were necessarily feeling threatened, did not necessarily put up a ton of points, but I think Sparky has to like the way this defense performed and really held William Jewell down, and again, it's they get a win. And one thing about Davenport is they win games.
A couple big games here this past weekend involving ranked teams and GLIAC members. It was Grand Valley State, number 2 in the country, taking on number 20 West Florida. And we expected this one to be somewhat close. It was for the first half, 14-7 game at halftime, but the Lakers ended up pulling away 31-7, the final score.
Yeah, I liked Grand Valley coming into that game. I felt that they had a little too much for West Florida. I thought that West Florida offensively would maybe be able to muster a little bit more. Not really surprising that Grand Valley was able to get 31 on the board. Thought maybe West Florida might get to the 14-point mark, but definitely Grand Valley very balanced offensively, defensively, special teams. Very, very good team.
Of course, and then the final game, a huge win for Saginaw Valley State and former Bulldog assistant Ryan Brady. They defeated a top 15 team in the nation in Indianapolis, 28-24, final score down in Indy.
Yeah, you kind of wondered where the Saginaw Valley State team was at one point. They lost a very difficult game, the Axe Bowl, to their arch rival, a tightly contested battle, but now maybe that looks almost like an anomaly, or you could look at it as that Northwood's just really good this year. They've bounced back and they're playing much better football. But Saginaw Valley certainly a team to keep an eye on.
Of course, this week, just 4 games on the GLIAC schedule, so some teams will be idle this week, and obviously some teams playing each other in terms of conference play. Grand Valley State and Davenport, the crosstown showdown, going to be played in Caledonia as the Panthers with a huge task against GVSU.
Yeah, Davenport hasn't had a lot of success against Grand Valley. Grand Valley's been very dominant in that series. So, Davenport's looking to see if they can, put the pieces of the puzzle together. And I think defensively is going to be the big key for Davenport. Can they keep Grand Valley from running away and then be opportunistic offensively? That should be an interesting matchup.
Another big game here. Wayne State will travel to Michigan Tech. The Huskies have played some good football this year, and they're playing at home in Houghton. You'd have to think they're maybe the favorite going into that one.
Yeah, that could be tough sledding for Wayne State going up there. Michigan Tech is a team that is playing really well this year. They're scoring, maybe a little bit more than what we've seen in the past years, and Wayne State really just having a lot of difficulty there. So that's going to be a tall task for the Warriors.
Of course, a tall task as well for Northern Michigan. They are playing at home inside the Superior Dome, but looking for their first win of the season, and they'll play host to Saginaw Valley coming off the big win. So the Wildcats, you never know, playing at the Superior Dome, they do have quite the home field advantage up there at times.
Yeah, problem is that Saginaw Valley's playing well, and they're coming off a big win over Indianapolis, big regional win over Indianapolis, and hard to imagine that Saginaw Valley is going to let down. But if they do, Northern Michigan, I think they are playing better than they were last year, but still going to be a tough one for Northern Michigan.
Of course, and then the final game, Roosevelt at Ferris State. That's it on terms of the GLIAC scoreboard and the matchups coming up this week. We'll be back with more on the Bulldog Blitz Football Radio Show, presented by Two Hats Ranch, after this quick timeout. Welcome back, everyone, to the Bulldog Blitz Football Radio Show, presented by Two Hats Ranch. Rob Bentley and Sandy Golston with you as we talk about the opponent this week for the Ferris State football squad, and it will be Roosevelt University coming into Big Rapids, of course, out of the Chicago area, first-year member of the GLIAC, and the Bulldogs going to face somewhat of a new challenge here in terms of a conference opponent.
Yeah, it's an unknown, and you're facing a team that you don't have a ton of readily accessible film, and you probably have to dig a little bit to get some film on them. And so, when you face a new team, a lot of times what you're going to do is you're going to focus on, what do we do best, and making sure that we're doing the things fundamentally that we need to do to be successful. And I think that's going to be a big approach for the Bulldogs, taking care of the fundamentals and really getting off to a good start, and hopefully being able to maybe not exactly duplicate what they did last week at American International, but hopefully the Bulldogs will do themselves some favors early and put themselves in a good position.
We mentioned it earlier, an interesting note, the 400th all-time GLIAC game for Ferris State, just the first for the Lakers, so opposite ends of the GLIAC spectrum here in terms of the number of games that have been played here in the conference.
Yeah, that is quite the contrast. There is you got the veteran Bulldogs, not only in terms of the overall program number of games, but also in terms of field experience. It's going to be tough, for Roosevelt coming in and with the experience that the Bulldogs have, and so the Bulldogs certainly hope to be able to draw on that going against a program that's new to Division II and that's new to the GLIAC.
Of course, this will be the first ever series matchup, obviously, between these two teams. The Lakers 0-3 overall. They fell to Wisconsin Whitewater, one of the top 10 teams in the country in Division III, 24-14 in the opener. That was somewhat of a close ball game. Then they went to Division I Valpo, of course, non-scholarship football, but nonetheless, that was a close matchup that they just dropped. But this past week in Campbellsville with a convincing win, 24-8, the final score down in Kentucky against the NAIA opponent. So you never know how good some of these teams are, but obviously they've kind of been on both sides of it here so far in terms of close games.
Yeah, kind of some mixed results, and we've seen them, play competitively in some close games, and we know that Whitewater is a pretty strong team at its level, Division III, and so again, a lot of it is going to be coaches getting a chance to look at the film, and one thing that we've seen with Campbellsville, one thing that we've seen with Roosevelt is that they do have some good skill players, and one of the challenges that some of these teams face, and we talked about this, Rob, with American International, is a lot of times the line play is what is decisive, and we know the Bulldogs very strong on the offensive and defensive lines.
Of course, Ferris State coming into this one to take on a team that finished 6-4 overall a year ago. They kind of played a combination last year of both an NAIA and a NCAA schedule, so they've faced teams really at all levels of competition here in the last couple of years.
Yeah, transitioning to the Division II level, and sometimes it's a mixed bag of opponents that you're getting, and sometimes you're trying to find opponents where you can get them, and so but give Roosevelt credit. I mean, they've they've been working to get themselves to this level. They've embraced the challenge of coming into the GLIAC. And so it's an exciting time for them. And being in the Chicago area, they're going to have a recruiting base potentially that's going to be attractive and an opportunity to really get some great athletes. And it's going to be interesting to see them in some of the other sports, particularly like basketball. Chicago is a great basketball area. So it's going to be interesting to see what Roosevelt's able to do in the years to come.
Of course, you mentioned basketball. Their basketball coach, I believe, is Dee Brown, their men's basketball coach who played at the University of Illinois.
Yes.
On the football side, Jared Williamson is the head coach. He's in his 15th season overall as a head coach. Of course, Roosevelt kind of formed with the merger of a couple schools, one of them being Robert Morris of Illinois. He started the program and really was the only head coach that program's ever had moving into the Roosevelt brand here for the last 5 years or so.
Yeah, and that's a challenge, merging some schools together and trying to pull the pieces together. And, we look at it just really from the athletic side, but, there's also a financial side to schools merging together. There's an academic side to it as well. And so you really got to salute Roosevelt University for being able to pull all those pieces together while transitioning from to the Division II level and then transitioning to the GLIAC, one of the toughest conferences in the nation in almost every sport.
Of course, homecoming weekend coming up this Saturday for Ferris State, and I'm sure the theme, kind of like this past weekend when the Bulldogs went to American International, not so much about the opponent. It's going to be how did the Bulldogs come out and play their best brand of football.
Yeah, just take care of business, and I think that's going to be the central focus. And when you're facing an opponent that maybe you don't know that much about, you're facing an opponent when you're heavily favored, what you want to really focus on is doing the little things right. Blocking, tackling, passing, catching, doing all those little things correctly. If you do those things correctly, then you're going to put yourself in a good position. The Bulldogs have done that, the last few weeks. When you think about the Lake Erie College game and you think about the Ashland game, you're going on the road at American International. We wondered, how the Bulldogs going to come back from a bye week, come back on the road against an opponent that you're heavily favored, and the Bulldogs really came out sharp right off the bat.
Of course, homecoming weekend, there's the traditional bonfire coming up on Friday night. You got the crowning of the ambassadors at halftime. One of the other things that's really cool that's going on this weekend, the Bulldogs will be honoring the 2014 Ferris State football team that won the GLIAC championship, the first team that won a conference title under head coach Tony Anise. And I talked with him the other day, and he said these guys are the foundation of what this program rests on today.
When you think of the bricks to the foundation of this program, and you think about when we started to really turn the corner, I think it was a lot of those guys that Coach Anise brought in, some guys that were here when Coach Anise and the staff got here, and they were the ones that really got this thing going and got a chance to really start to take off in 2014. I'm going to be excited to see a lot of those guys back. I know they've been buzzing in social media. They've been talking about it, and certainly a lot of energy and things that happened after them are a product of things that they helped establish here. And so those national championships, that the Bulldogs were able to win, 3 national championship appearances, 2 national championships won. The 2014 team, some guys that came before them and guys that came after them, they were a big part of that.
Of course, guys like Jason Vanderlaan, Jake Lampman, Justin Zimmer, of course, those guys kind of household names. I heard the other night from Jake Doherty, the mayor of Big Rapids, unofficial mayor who's coming back here to his hometown this weekend for the game. And certainly a great group of guys that always come back and continue to support Bulldog football, but a tremendous season back in 2014 going 11-0 in the regular season.
When you think about some of those names that you just mentioned and what's happened since, and, we'd had some guys that went to the NFL, but, you think about that team and some of the guys from that team that ended up going to the NFL, a number of guys from that team that ended up going to the NFL. And now you look at guys that come to Ferris and they know that if they have the talent, if they have the work ethic, if they are willing to listen, if they're willing to be coached, that they can have an opportunity to maybe play at the next level. And since then, we've seen a number of guys that have, had that opportunity to play at the next level. And guys that, we have guys in the NFL that are playing on Monday Night Football and doing great things. And so that speaks a lot to what this program has done in terms of its growth. That
was really cool to see, obviously, the other night where Caleb Murphy for the Titans, Zach Sealer for the Dolphins, those two teams went at each other. We've got some other guys still out there, Tavier Thomas being one of them, along with Malik Taylor that have had some NFL aspirations, and those dreams that kind of came true.
Zach Sealer, just some great guys. And you mentioned it, and they got their starts here, and some of them We weren't sure what they were going to do as college players, let alone having an opportunity to play in the NFL. And then some of them having a chance to really be significant players, key players, and in at least one case, a star in the NFL.
Of course, you can continue to support the Bulldog football program. Join the Gridiron Club. You can find out more information online. Membership drive still underway at ferrisstatebulldogs.com. This week, homecoming game and reminders for some of the fans that maybe haven't been here to Top Tiger Field just yet this year. We're expecting a big crowd, so purchase your tickets in advance. You can save money online, ferrisstatebulldogs.com/tickets. You can get your parking there as well. Prepaid parking must be required in order to park in the main lot, lot 5E, just to the west of the Wheeler Pavilion. And of course, Stadium Drive now one way on the west side of the field. So some changes. You can find out all those details online at ferrisstatebulldogs.com. We've had some good crowds here the first two home games and expecting it to be even bigger this Saturday.
Yeah, definitely get your game ticket and your parking pass in advance. And number one, you want to be able to post up in those good lots and to be able to interact with fellow Bulldogs, because it's going to be a great crowd. And those of you who are familiar with homecoming here, going to be a number of tents, a number of reunions, of social fraternities, academic programs. We have a number of programs celebrating 50 years, not only from fraternity standpoint, but also academic programs. So get your tickets early, and boy, we look forward to seeing you.
We'll be back with more of the Bulldog Blitz football radio show presented by Two Hats Ranch after this timeout on the Bulldog Sports Network. And welcome back, everyone, to the Bulldog Blitz football radio show presented by Two Hats Ranch. Rob Bentley and Sandy Golston with you. And we're joined by Ferris State University defensive back Mike Edwards. And Mike, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you too.
I know this past week, obviously a great road trip to American International, big game, both for the offense and also for the defense. Maybe just talk about the team performance this past Saturday.
Dominant. That was one thing that we stressed in practice last week, knowing that playing the team last year at American International, knowing a little bit of what they had, and we just wanted to dominate across all parts of the game. And I think we did.
Maybe talk about your performance individually. You obviously got a ton of repetitions out there, and maybe just talk about what you were able to do on the back end of the Bulldog defense.
Yeah, I'm getting more reps each and every week, and just trying to take advantage of those reps, get my nose in towards the ball, and make plays and get that ball back for our team any way I can.
I know, obviously, on the defensive side, you guys kind of like on the offensive side, a lot of playmakers, a lot of guys with a lot of talent, and certainly it's very competitive, I know, in practice, just to get some of that quality playing time.
Yes, sir. It's super competitive. We don't have starters necessarily, so it's just every man for himself out there, everyone trying to compete for a job.
Before we get into talking more about the season and what's coming up, maybe talk about your journey to Ferris State, how you ended up becoming a Bulldog.
So I'm from South Florida, and coming out of high school and COVID, it stopped a lot of opportunities for dudes in my class because there were guys hanging back in college and taking their extra year. So I got a call from Coach Hodges, Coach Anise one day, and told me to come tour the school. Came up, seen snow, seen what Ferris was about, winning, just the culture, love, family, and it drew me towards here.
What's it like being one of those guys from Florida? It seems like you look at the roster, there's obviously guys from Michigan, but there's a lot of guys from Florida here on this team.
Yes, sir. I think that Coach Anise loves recruiting down there because of just the competitiveness down there, the culture, just what we bring to the table.
Before I give it to Sandy, I'll ask one more question here. As you look back at where the defense started the season and where you're at right now, maybe talk about the growth of the Ferris State defense, and obviously you guys are playing at a very high level right now.
For sure. I think that's one of the biggest things coming into this season was just about growing each and every week, and I've seen it with my own two eyes since week 1, now week 4, a tremendous amount of growth, and we just got to keep going from here.
And just tell us a little bit, when I was a younger guy, that's when the Miami Hurricanes really took off in the 80s. And I used to watch the Hurricanes. And even being a Michigan guy, that was watching the Hurricanes was sweet. And they had some great battles with Florida State. What is a Florida college football player like? Whether they go to one of the big schools in Florida, tell me what makes Florida football players special.
So I would say that a Florida college football player plays with a chip on his shoulder. Being from down there, it's a ton of guys with talent, and it's a ton of guys coming to take your spot every single day when you go out, and it's high school. So going to the next level, it's like, I know what I got to be. I know I got to be the best, and it's a push for the best every single day.
Yeah, and it looks like, watching, 30 for 30, watching the U, it's like, parents getting after little kids, and it's just ingrained. Is it really ingrained in you that young?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Me, J-Pay, another defensive back on the team, I know we've been playing since we were 5, 6 years old, and that's competitive football. That's against dudes bigger than us. We were playing up, and it's just what comes with the game.
And then talk about, coming to Ferris State and, some of those early times when I saw you early in the preseason, I'm like, man, how are you feeling about being back? And you were really excited because you went through some adversity last year. And talk about, that adversity last year and maybe how that iron sharpened iron and you were ready to come back this year.
Yes, sir. I mean, I'm on year 4 and I've been through two knee surgeries now up here. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of adversity. It's just about this team, and I want to be great for them. It's not all about me anymore. My time is, and it's minute left. We got young guys here that want to win, and I've got 2 championships. I want to make it 4. I want to go get 2 more, and so it's just about that. It's about pushing through and finishing the job.
And talk about that defense, because you got a lot of Florida attitude on that defense, because you guys came out even in week 0, and obviously not the result that we wanted as a team in week 0, but this defense has really come out to play. And you mentioned it's not really starters. There are a bunch of guys that you could just go, however many strings you want to go down, guys are coming in and playing hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's an attitude that we've taken this preseason before the season, knowing like we want to be the best in the nation, knowing what this defense has done in the past and the older guys who we've seen play, and it's following in their footsteps and being as dominant as we can be. And those coaches, they're on us every day about it.
And, when you look at each of the games played, and you guys have only given up 2 touchdowns all season so far. I mean, that's just, tremendous dominance. But what I really liked, looking at the Lake Erie College game, looking at the Ashland game, you guys didn't let up. Like, you guys kept that attitude. You guys kept that dog really from start to finish.
Yeah, I think Coach Anise is he's making that an emphasis for us this season, is don't let up, foot on the gas all 4 quarters, no matter who's in. It doesn't matter if it's all freshmen, all starters. It doesn't matter if we're playing the cheerleaders. We're going full speed. And
you guys, you guys get a chance to, you probably get a chance to take a look at cheerleaders too, but you guys get a chance to see your offense. And obviously it was a big shakeup when Carson went down. But what have you seen from the offensive guys? Because, Trinidad, really kind of has really stepped his game up. What are you seeing from a defensive guy looking at the offense?
Yeah, just looking at the offense, losing Carson was a huge thing to this team, but I just think that they picked up and they handled that situation so well. I think that all the guys came to work the next week knowing that we lost one of our biggest offensive weapons and knowing that they have to step up. And Trinidad's done an amazing job these last 3 weeks.
And what about you guys as a team? Because, obviously losing to Pitt State was tough. You guys take on a week 0 challenge. And obviously we didn't have to do that, but we embraced tough competition at Ferris State. What was the mood like? Because it wasn't, you guys were not pointing fingers. It was almost like you guys were maybe more frustrated that we let it get away. What was the mindset like? Because you guys really turned it around against Lake Erie, and since then you guys have been grinding.
Yeah, I don't think anyone looked back and really sulked and was sad. I think it just lit a fire and made us more angry, knowing that we shouldn't have been in that situation, knowing that we're better than that team every day. And so, yeah, it just lit a fire under us, and it made us want to go harder.
Mm-hmm. And the last question before I kick it back to Rob, what does Mike Edwards bring to that secondary there? I mean, because, you mentioned J-Pay back there, and he's having an incredible year for this team. But what do you bring back there, and what's that group back there like? Because, you guys are the eyes. You guys are seeing a lot of stuff back there. And just tell me about what you bring back there and what that group brings back there.
Yes, sir. Personally, I would say Mike Edwards, myself as a person, I bring relentless effort, tenacity. I'm looking to punish the ball carrier every single time. I'm looking to make plays, ball hawk. I let a few plays get away from me, and so I'm on every single one from here on out.
And then one last question before I kick it back to Rob. I'm going to sneak in one more question. They talk about, in football, they talk about contact courage. And you definitely have that. Tell me, have you always had that? Because you're not afraid to kind of, stick your nose in there and make that big hit.
Yeah, I got 2 older brothers, and ever since I was, and they're a lot older than me. So ever since I was young, it was just always basically contact, going in and putting your head down and seeing who's going to come out. And I like me to come out every time.
There you go.
Mike, I know you mentioned earlier we were talking about the offense. Just what's it like going against that offense every day when you got 2 of the nation's best going at each other every day in practice?
Yeah, I mean, iron sharpens iron. And so every single day when you line up against the best dudes, you feel like you're going to be the best, and you get better from it every single day. So I love competing against those guys, and they are the best in the country, I feel like.
I know, obviously, you mentioned you were in your 4th year here. What are some lessons you try to teach to some of those younger guys, those freshmen that are just coming into the program here this fall?
I tell a lot of the dudes, just make sure your mental health during this redshirt year is good, because a lot of those dudes were starters, whatever, the biggest players at their school, and now they're here learning. And I just tell them, take it day by day, learn, take what you can, and don't try and force it, because your time's coming.
Finally here, before we let you go, talk about maybe life away from football. What do you like to do, and what are some hobbies you have kind of off the practice field or off the game field?
Off the practice or game field, life away from football includes football. I like watching football, a lot of football, especially NFL, college. I talk to my family a lot. They're in Florida. I miss them. Hang out with my teammates. That's about it.
Yeah. Who's your NFL team?
Oh, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah,
okay.
My mom's from Latrobe, so.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I know, obviously, speaking of Florida, and I know we've got some guys from Florida with what's went on with the hurricane and the storms this past week, and I know our thoughts were with a lot of people down there. Any impact to you or your family?
My family's down south more. It hit up on the west side up by the Panhandle, so they weren't affected directly, but they all took precautions and got ready for it.
Good to hear. Final question here. Obviously, homecoming this weekend. What's it going to be like to take the field in front of what should be a great crowd here at Top Taggart?
Can't wait to get in front of our fans again, man. They're the best, and it's fun being in front of them and being able to represent Ferris in the right way, and I can't wait to do it.
Well, Mike, thanks for the time. We appreciate it, and go Bulldogs this weekend.
Appreciate you guys.
We'll be back with more of the Bulldog Blitz football radio show after this quick timeout on the Bulldog Sports Network. Welcome back, everyone, to the final segment here on the Bulldog Blitz football radio show presented by Two Hats Ranch. Rob Bentley and Sandy Golston with you. Homecoming this Saturday, Ferris State and Roosevelt University, a 2 o'clock kick at Top Tiger Field. We'll have the Bulldog Tailgate show for you starting at noon, followed by the Johnson Automotive pregame show at 1 o'clock right here on the Bulldog Sports Network. Going to be a great weekend, homecoming weekend, and just a lot going on here on the Ferris State campus.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot going on for us and for people just all over the place. And, the alumni are going to start really pouring in here Thursday and Friday and looking forward to having a big weekend of, the usual homecoming activities. And then you think that we get a chance to not only add to football and everything else that we traditionally have on homecoming, we get to add Bulldog hockey beginning their season at home. And then we also get to have our highly nationally ranked women's volleyball team getting a chance to open at home for the first time this season.
Of course, we will move into our Bulldog Athletics update. And speaking of hockey, Bulldog Hockey starts its 50th season on Friday night, and a special event that's going to take place. Everything College Hockey and the College Hockey Game Day show will be here live. Doors going to open at 5 o'clock with a meet and greet. Then the show airs live from 5:30 to 6. That'll be posted on YouTube as well. You got an ESPN reporter and Victoria Arlen coming in, along with James Murray from Everything College Hockey. Should be a great night as it leads into the 8:07 p.m. puck drop here at the Ava Glavin Ice Arena. Yeah,
I mean, if you've seen College Game Day on Saturday mornings, and we're hoping to get something like that. We're hoping to just get people fired up and get people excited about Bulldog hockey, and it's just going to be really fun to have these individuals in that really are passionate about the sport. And we know our fans are very passionate, and so we're excited to hopefully fill the building and just really have a great home atmosphere on the ice, on and around the ice. So we're just really looking forward to it.
A college game day show will take place just outside of Bulldog Arena, where at 6 o'clock, the Ferris State volleyball team, now ranked 5th in the nation, will take on Parkside in the conference home opener here for the Bulldogs. So we've played a few conference matches already, but this will be the first home match of the season here for Ferris State on Friday night.
Yeah, we know the fans are going to be excited about getting a chance to see Bulldog volleyball. Bulldog volleyball is always a good draw anyway. And, that Bulldog Arena is the home of the Bulldog volleyball team. That place is going to be rocking because there are going to be a lot of fans excited to see this team, a lot of familiar faces from the past, and those players have really stuck together and they believe that this is their year. And when you look at the start that they're off to this season, hard to argue.
Of course, Bulldog hockey looking for a big start to the season as well. Free T-shirts, free rally towels to those that come out for the game day show, along with the opening puck drop at 8:07 p.m. on Friday night against Miami of Ohio. And we're going to have the chance to call the game in place of Brody Kaiser, who is out of town for a wedding with the schedule adjustment here to the opening weekend for Ferris State. So we'll be on the air, abbreviated pregame show right around 7:50 p.m. Coming up on Friday night. Puck drop 8:07 though. Should be a lot of fun just being on the mic to call Bulldog hockey here. My first time since the COVID season.
It's been first time for you in a while, and it's going to be exciting. I've had a chance to call a few over the years, and you and I had a chance to call we called a 2-game set against Bowling Green. So it's going to be fun. Yeah, abbreviated pregame show. We're just going to jump right into it. I'm excited. I mean, just to get Bulldog hockey season going, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Of course, we'll have the broadcast for you on Friday night. We'll turn right back around less than 12 hours later and we'll go on the air with the Bulldog Tailgate Show right around 12 hours later, probably at noon on Saturday into the 2 o'clock kickoff against Roosevelt University. Then coming up on Saturday night, it's Bulldog Volleyball again against Purdue Northwest. That match at 6 o'clock, followed by Bulldog Hockey, the series finale against Miami at 8:07 p.m. as well. Of course, all the hockey coverage this year can be carried live right here on Sunny 97.3, but also on Midcoast Sports Plus, part of a new agreement with the CCHA, and we'll have links out there at ferrisstatebulldogs.com. All the GLIAC sports continue to be carried in partnership with Flow Sports as well. On the video side, busy weekend for the Ferris State television crew that'll be doing both hockey games and Bulldog football in between.
Yeah, if you see a television crew member, give them a hug or a handshake right there because they're going to be busy. But they bring it. They bring the images and the video and the footage to the fans, and so we're excited about the work that they do, and we can't wait to see them put all the pieces together. And I know the fans that are going to be watching, they're going to be excited.
Of course, we mentioned the Bulldogs will honor the 2014 GLIAC Football Championship team on Saturday during the game against Roosevelt. Bulldog Volleyball also going to honor a team, the 2004 team, coached by Tia Brenda Wilhelm, that won the GLIAC title. They'll be honored on Saturday in conjunction with the match against Purdue Northwest.
Again, it's just another reason why it's a great time, homecoming, and it's just going to be alumni from different sports coming back to be a part of the homecoming. And, it doesn't happen like this every year with so many of our teams being able to be at home for homecoming, but when it does, it's special.
Of course, we got a lot of other action going on in Bulldog athletics. Bulldog soccer, after a 1-1 tie against Davenport on Senior Day this past weekend, they'll head to the Upper Peninsula, so they won't be at home for homecoming weekend, but two big games as they take on Northern Michigan and Michigan Tech. Right now, still unbeaten here in the GLIAC at 2-0-1.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be some stiff competition, as it always is. Pretty much across the GLIAC. It's a really challenging league, and so the Bulldogs know that each time they step out there, they got to be ready to go.
Bulldog Cross Country will return to action. They had last week off. They'll be in action down in Louisville at one of the nation's largest meets at the Louisville Classic. The men's and women's golf team, it seems like every day they're playing. The men were at the Midwest Region Preview here early this week in St. Joseph, Missouri. The women were down in Findlay, Ohio at the Beale Fall Classic, and the women's team will get a chance to play their only home tournament of the year coming up on Monday at Khaki Golf Course.
Well, it's always special. Some of our teams that don't get to play at home as often as some of the other teams. And so when they do get an opportunity to host, whether it's tournaments or meets like our cross-country teams do, it's always special for them. So they're going to be a little extra ready for that.
Got to give a shout-out to the basketball teams as well. Officially have started practice here as both teams will open up the season in about a month here, the first weekend in November. Men's team will actually have its alumni game and tip-off dinner coming up here on October 12th when we travel to Wayne State for the Bulldog football road game against the Warriors. So a lot of exciting things going on here as we get into this busy stretch here in October and November.
Yeah, I had a chance to duck in and check out some of the Bulldog practices. for the men's and women's basketball teams. And so a lot of excitement for both of those teams. And of course, we're going to be a part of the excitement for hockey getting going. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, football just really hitting its stride right now. So it's a great time to be a Bulldog.
We mentioned earlier, Bulldog football 183-13 in terms of the scoring over the opponents. We expect this game to be another high-scoring game here for the Ferris State offense against Roosevelt.
Yeah, again, the Bulldogs want to make sure that they come in clicking right off the bat. If they do that, take care of the ball, just come in with a sharp focus, they're going to be in good shape.
Certainly like to thank the president of Ferris State University, Dr. Bill Pink, athletic director Steve Brocklebank, our entire game day operations and communications crews who help make these broadcasts possible as we continue to provide the coverage of Ferris State athletics here on the Bulldog Sports Network. One of those guys, Brody Kaiser, will be sitting in for him on Friday night, but he's the producer here, puts this whole show together for us. And you can also catch his show, Off the Ice, featuring Ferris State hockey with Beth McKinney on Tuesday nights at 6 o'clock right here on Sunny 97.3. Of course, these shows also available on Spotify and on the Ferris Athletics YouTube page.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch their show and get a chance to get to know our hockey guys a little bit better. So I'm excited. I know I'm going to have to catch up on that ahead of Friday's game just to make sure I'm on point for the broadcast. But it's a lot of fun. We do a lot of great things, and we do it for the student athletes and the coaches.
Of course, we're going to have to do some major prep work going into that hockey game on Friday night, followed by Ferris State football against Roosevelt on Saturday. We know the football guys pretty well through, I think, the first 4 games or so of the season, and obviously spent a lot of time in fall camp, but really starts to step up for real as conference play starts this weekend.
Yeah, it's really going to start getting going, and we're going to start to see, especially after this weekend, we're going to start to really see a lot of those familiar teams that we see all the time. And so that's when you're getting some of those traditional rivalries, and the intensity level is going to pick up.
I'd like to thank Steve Masters at the Sunny 97.3 studios as well for all his work in promoting the Ferris State Bulldogs, both on the football side, the hockey side, and in terms of all the other action that takes place. Don't miss homecoming. You can get your tickets online along with parking at ferrisstatebulldogs.com/tickets. The Bulldogs and the Roosevelt Lakers this Saturday, 2 p.m. at Top Taggart Field. I'd like to thank Jack Schugars, Coach Schugars, for stepping in today, being a guest on the show, along with Mike Edwards, the Bulldog defensive back from Florida. Had a great show, and looking forward to next week already.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Great segments here today, and just excited about this weekend.
That'll do it for the Bulldog Blitz football radio show presented by Two Hats Ranch. Thanks for tuning in right here on the Bulldog Sports Network in Sunny 97.3.